Podcast title, Navigating the Digital Fiscal Landscape. Episode 1, Understanding Cabinet Decision Number 106 of 2025. Welcome to Navigating the Digital Fiscal Landscape, where we dive deep into the evolving world of financial legislation and technological integration. I'm Sarah, your host for today. And I'm Jason. In this episode, we'll be breaking down an important recent decision from the UAE government, specifically Cabinet Decision Number 106 of 2025. This decision deals with the violations and administrative penalties arising from non-compliance with the electronic invoicing system. Sounds complex. Definitely does, but it's crucial for businesses operating in the UAE to understand these changes. The electronic invoicing system is designed to streamline the invoicing process, enhance transparency, and ultimately improve tax compliance. But what's really interesting is the implications this decision can have for businesses and individuals involved in invoicing. Let's kick things off by giving our listeners some context. This cabinet decision isn't just a standalone piece of legislation. It stems from a series of laws and decrees aimed at strengthening tax frameworks in the UAE. Right. The foundation for this decision comes from various federal laws, such as the Federal Decree Law No. 13 of 2016 on the establishment of the Federal Tax Authority and the Federal Decree Law No. 28 of 2022 on tax procedures. This set of laws and amendments forms a comprehensive structure for tax governance in the UAE. And the aim is clear. It's about modernizing the way invoices are processed. The idea is to enhance efficiency and accuracy while also minimizing the chances of tax evasion. But as we'll see, the penalties for non-compliance can be pretty hefty. Exactly, and that's where our focus today will lie. One of the major aspects of Cabinet Decision Number 106 is Article 3, which outlines specific violations related to the electronic invoicing system. Jason, can you share more about what kinds of violations are covered under this decision? Sure. Essentially, the decision specifies several actions that are deemed violations. For example, if an issuer fails to implement the electronic invoicing system properly or neglects to appoint an accredited service provider within the specified timeline, they face administrative penalties. The amount set for this particular violation is AED 5,000. That's not a small fee, especially for small to medium-sized enterprises. It highlights the importance of compliance. But what's even more interesting is the definitions provided in Article 1, which clearly outline key terms like issuer, recipient, and system failure. Exactly. Understanding these definitions helps clarify who is responsible in the invoicing process. An issuer is anyone obligated to issue and exchange electronic invoices, while the recipient is who receives these invoices. Plus, the mention of system failure outlines the technical aspects that could exempt a party from penalties, provided they can prove their inability to comply due to a genuine malfunction. This is such a vital area, especially as we all become increasingly reliant on technology in our business operations. The moment you implement a system like electronic invoicing, you also have to consider system integrity and reliability. Indeed, and for all the finance professionals and business owners listening, this decision emphasizes the need to stay informed, not just about technology, but also about legal obligations. The penalties can be quite significant, impacting the bottom line. Podcast episode title, Understanding Cabinet Decision Number 106 of 2025, Part 2, Navigating the New Landscape of Electronic Invoices. Welcome back to another episode of Law Matters, where we dive into the crucial legal frameworks shaping our business landscape in the UAE. I'm your host, Your Name, and today we're continuing our discussion on Cabinet Decision Number 106 of 2025, which addresses violations and penalties related to the electronic invoicing system. If you missed Part 1, I recommend tuning in first, as we laid the groundwork by discussing the overarching legislation and how this decision fits into the broader context of tax regulations in the UAE. Now let's pick up where we left off. One of the key themes we've been discussing is the responsibility placed on businesses specifically those that issue or receive electronic invoices. Under Article 1 of the decision, we define terms critical to understanding the nuances of compliance, such as issuer, recipient, and system failure. Now, diving deeper into Article 2, we see the scope of this decision laid out clearly. The Cabinet has stated that the penalties will only apply to those mandated by the legislation to engage with the electronic invoicing system. One notable exemption: if businesses are voluntarily participating without being legally obligated, they won't face penalties under this decision. Soundbite: stay compliant, but don't panic. So what exactly are these penalties? That brings us to Article 3 and the attached table of violations and penalties. The very first infraction listed is the failure of the issuer to implement the electronic invoicing system, particularly failing to appoint an accredited service provider in a timely manner. Now you might be wondering, what does that mean for businesses? Sound transition. Let's break this down. Failing to follow the prescribed steps can result in an administrative penalty of 5,000 ADA. While this number might seem relatively modest, it's essential to consider the ripple effect such penalties can have. Not only can they strain finances, but they can also impact a company's reputation and relationships with suppliers and clients. Imagine being a small business that inadvertently misspoke or mismanaged the deadlines. Besides the fines, you might need to redirect valuable resources towards compliance, taking focus away from your core operations. But wait, there's more. The penalties don't stop there. As we go through the attached table, other violations, including failure to issue electronic invoices or process transactions correctly, can lead to steeper fines. Each type of violation is categorized and corresponds to specific financial repercussions, ensuring businesses remain vigilant about their processes. Now, I'm sure some of you are wondering how these penalties are enforced. Accountability is key here. In retrospect, the Federal Tax Authority, FTA, is instrumental in monitoring compliance with the electronic invoicing system. This means they're not just watching for compliance, but are ready to act when violations occur. For additional insights into this topic, we're excited to have expert guest name, a tax consultant with vast experience in UAE tax law, join us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having me. All right, let's dive in. Can you share with our listeners what steps businesses can take to ensure they're compliant with the mandates set forth in this Cabinet decision? Absolutely. One of the most crucial steps is understanding the electronic invoicing system thoroughly. Welcome back to our podcast series on Cabinet Decision number 106 of 2025, where we're delving deep into the nuances of the new regulations surrounding the electronic invoicing system in the UAE. In our previous episodes, we discussed the background and foundational laws that led to this decision and explored the specific definitions and scope outlined in Article 1 and Article 2. Today, in Part 3, we're diving into the heart of the matter, the violations and administrative penalties that come into play as a result of non-compliance. Buckle up as we break it all down. So let's get right into it. The Cabinet decision lays out a formal structure for enforcing compliance with the electronic invoicing system, with Article 3 detailing the various violations and associated penalties. This is crucial because an effective framework for penalties helps ensure that businesses adhere to the new regulations. We have a specific table attached to the decision that lists out violations along with administrative penalties. Let's start with the first item on the list: sound dropping. Host. Number 1. Failure by the issuer to implement the electronic invoicing system, including the failure to appoint an accredited service provider within the timeline prescribed by the minister. That's a hefty penalty of 5,000. But what does this really mean for businesses? Essentially, if a company is designated as an issuer, they are required to not only comply with the electronic invoicing framework, but also to ensure they partner with an approved service provider to facilitate this system. Failure to meet these obligations, especially within the specified timeline, can lead to financial repercussions. Let's dig deeper into the implications. Now consider this. The introduction of the electronic invoicing system aims to streamline processes and reduce tax evasion, thus promoting transparency. By qualifying the penalties, the Cabinet emphasizes the importance of compliance. But what happens if a business is facing a system failure? In such cases, where technical glitches prevent compliance, how can they shield themselves from penalties? The decision notes that systemic failures might absolve businesses from certain responsibilities, allowing them to argue against penalties in situations beyond their control.
Expert guess.
Exactly. The legislation recognizes that technology can sometimes fail us. Businesses are encouraged to document any system-related issues they face actively. Communication with the Federal Tax Authority during these downtimes will be critical. If documented properly, it can make a significant difference in mitigating potential penalties.
Host.
That's an essential point. Keeping clear communication lines open with the authorities can protect businesses during challenging times. Let's talk about another critical aspect of this decision. It's not just about the compliance aspect. This regulation also shifts the responsibility to the issuer to ensure they have robust systems in place. It's a wake-up call for businesses that may not have invested adequately in their digital invoicing solutions. The penalties create a pressing impetus for modernization and digitization of financial transactions. The idea here is to nurture a culture of compliance rather than strictly enforcing penalties. The Cabinet and the Federal Tax Authority envision a smoother, more integrated electronic invoicing ecosystem that benefits all, from small businesses to large corporations. As we explore this, it's essential to remember that education is a vital component. Businesses must familiarize themselves with these regulations if they are to avoid penalties and thrive under the new system.